problem, again, to Tom's point, and Melanie's as well, is the period of time that's required before it actually turns into something meaningful to them, right? Like, if you're using supply measures to impact affordability, that will work eventually, but their own timeline lays out not until at the earliest 2031.
This is a really tough problem for them, right? And also, like, the other problem is you can't treat these generations as a monolith, right? There's the ones who want values, but there's more that want the ability to pay their mortgage, right? Like, there's more that have kids that are in that, elder millennial generation that now have real life expenses. The thought I had, and this is why no one will invite me to a PMO ever, Vashi, so I'll kind of say this before, is that if you're going to have one eye-popping number tomorrow, which is going to be, let's just say, the tax, which we've all discussed in the previous segment, wouldn't you just rather have two eye-popping numbers so that you at least, if it takes a long time to solve this housing problem, at least you can show and meet the rhetoric that Fraser was talking about earlier, where you have a wartime effort, and I'm talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. Would that be a massive gamble for this government to say, we're actually investing hundreds of billions of dollars into housing because no one else will and no one else has the ability to do so? And maybe you kind of fend off one of those big numbers, i.e. maybe a wealth tax or a massive tax increase on a specific group or demo, but at least you'll look like, man, in terms of ambition, do they still have it? Possibly. And maybe you buy some time or some likes there, at least you change the discussion. And Poilievre's going to do what Poilievre does, but maybe for a cohort of people, you look serious on trying to solve an issue in a meaningful way and you can't get it done quickly.
I gotta leave it there. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the discussion very much. Melanie Parody, Tom Mulcair, and Zane Belgi. Up next, the debut of our Digging Deeper series. We're taking a look at Canada's toxic drugs crisis.
Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
I'm Callum Fraser in the CTV newsroom. New information from Ottawa Police today on the tragic death of a teenager in Centretown on Friday night. One community advocate says it's critical that police, politicians, and residents in Centretown come together to ensure this never happens again. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says world leaders are working on a plan to prevent the escalation of tensions in the Middle East. Full details coming up in 30 minutes. From the CTV Weather Center, a mix of sun and clouds this afternoon with a low chance of sun showers, a high of 14 degrees. This evening, a chance of showers and 10, overnight down to 1. Tomorrow is partly cloudy and 13 degrees. Wednesday, a repeat, partly cloudy and 13. Right now in the capital, we're sitting at 12 degrees and sun clouds. That is the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Callum Fraser.
Ever try to get flooring these days? Supply issues mean waiting months before it gets to your door. Not with GC Flooring. GC has loads of flooring in stock right now. GC carries only the best brands, and they beat box store prices too. GC Flooring. Best selection, highest quality, lowest prices. With so much inventory, they'll get your floors to your door in no time. 60 Colonnade Road and gcflooring.ca.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Ron is a teacher helping bright minds, but this time he needed help. Alpine Credit sent a cosmic superhero with a debt consolidation loan. He conjured a magic book, Debt Consolidation 101. Lesson 1, consolidate debt into one low monthly payment. Lesson 2, nothing. It's a short book. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where home mortgage approved. Central License 12616.
It's time for today's Polar Bear Minute. We've got Kate Collins, lead scientist for Gold Star Canadian Tours. Kate, tell us a surprising fact about polar bears.
Absolutely. Did you know that some polar bears live on sea ice for their entire life, never setting foot on solid ground? Lucky for us, in Canada, we have the opportunity to experience polar bears that migrate from sea ice to shore annually.
That's incredible.
It sure is. And even more incredible is just how easy it is to visit the bears. Come aboard with Gold Star Canadian Tours for our epic one-day expedition up to see the bears this fall. I guarantee you that getting up to Canada's north and spending time with the bears is something you'll never forget.
A one-day expedition directly from Ottawa sounds like a perfect way to visit the Arctic.
It's the experience of a lifetime. Plus, the expedition is completely all-inclusive and great for travelers of any age. You don't want to miss out.
Thanks, Kate. Head over to goldstarcanada.com to book your seats today.
Hey, it's Bill Carroll. You've heard me talking about Glow Outdoor Lighting. Home and now business owners are buzzing about how wonderful and affordable all this is. And I agree. Ever since we had Glow Outdoor Lighting installed at our house, it's been a spectacle of light. Beautiful. Celebrate holidays, birthdays, your favorite sports teams, or just create gentle ambiance. Glow Outdoor LED lighting lets you take creative control with a kaleidoscope of colors. Get a free estimate for your home or business at glowoutdoorlighting.com. That's glowoutdoorlighting.com.
Denied long-term disability? If the insurance company invites you to appeal, remember, the truth is that appeals can often trap you and run out the clock on your rights. There is a much more powerful option to get the compensation you deserve. Go to disabilityrights.ca and get disability lawyer Savannah Markin in your corner. Discover what the insurance companies don't want you to know and how Savannah can force them to pay what you are owed. disabilityrights.ca.
I'm Erin, and this is my life with California Closets. I purchased a historic home that's over 150 years old. One of the biggest things old houses don't have is closet storage and organization. And in a modern life, you really need to store a lot of things. Working with California Closets was the only way to get exactly what I needed. It really makes my life better. I finally have my dream home, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it.
Schedule your free design consultation today at californiaclosets.ca.
Brace yourself for a monumental event. Myers Barhaven Subaru is throwing open its doors today. Join us this month for unbelievable deals on the latest Subaru models. From the sporty Impreza to the adventurous Outback, we've got the ride that fits your lifestyle. Come on down for free test drives, exclusive prizes, and special surprises around every corner. Experience the excitement at Myers Barhaven Subaru's grand opening today. Swing by 4151 Strandherd Drive or visit us online at MyersBarhavenSubaru.com. Ottawa's premier Subaru dealership.
Welcome back to the Vashi Capello Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
It's 25 minutes before the top of the hour. I'm really glad to have you with us this afternoon. We are launching a new series here on our program called Digging Deeper. Every few months, we're going to take a deeper look at an issue that is kind of gripping our country. And right now, we're starting that off with a look at the toxic drug overdose crisis. A new study out this morning published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal found that not only did premature deaths due to overdoses, opioid overdoses, double across the country between 2019 and 21, but get this, opioids are also responsible in that period for 1 in every 4 deaths among young adults who were between the ages of 20 and 39. It is most certainly a crisis, and we wanted to take a deeper look at why that is the case. We're starting off our series this afternoon speaking to someone who experienced addiction and has come out, thank goodness, on the other end of it. We're talking to Chris Cull. Have a listen to our conversation. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for making time for this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We really wanted to get like a personal perspective that I think will hopefully inform everyone listening about what addicts in this country are going through. And I guess I wanted to start off just with a bit about your story in particular and the circumstances that led you to lean on opioids.
Yeah, so in my late teens, my dad, he was a paramedic there for 27 years. He was my hero. He raised me. My mom moved to the States when I was a kid, and he was diagnosed with Huntington's disease, which is a neurodegenerative disease. So he ended up losing his license, his job. He ended up starting to drink really heavily, which only compounded the disease. And then he started trying to take his own life on a fairly consistent basis, and then probably for about a 2-year stretch of time, it was just you don't know every single day. You don't know if you're walking into the worst day of your life, and you're just riding on this knife's edge of stress for years. And then one day, it's a long story, but I found him deceased in a hotel room, and after he took his own life, and that just sent me into, that's when I started using opioids to help cope, because I just wasn't maturely nor emotionally developed enough to manage that loss and anything resembling productive, and I self-medicated using opioids, and that's kind of where that whole journey started.
you mentioned that you were a teenager when your dad was diagnosed. How old were you when he passed away?
22.
So you were only 22. So I don't know many 22-years who would be able to kind of cope with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like coming home from school some days, like over those years. It was about 2 years, probably from when I was about 20 to 22, when he was trying to take his own life. But I was in school at the time, and like trying to get through school and excel at what you're going for. But you have this whole thing at home going on that, like, where I came home from school, and he's actively in the garage trying to tie new stuff from the rafters and asking me to help him, and I'm trying to juggle a life with that all going on. It just broke me. I didn't know how to handle it, and the opioids seemed to be the only thing that gave me some degree of an alleviation from all of that.
And what was the feeling that they were able to impart? Was it like kind of like a numbness?
Yeah, it was just the heavy burden of the emotions and everything like that. It just goes away. It's almost as if like those problems don't exist, and that's where your coping mechanism becomes, because like it's that momentary relief you get from that trauma. And the only time that you're not rehashing it over in your head, or it not just absolutely beating you down, is when at least for me, it was when I was taking opioids. So it's kind of how that started spiraling out of control.
How addictive were they?
Well, I mean, I was addicted to the escape of it all, but also like it just. I remember distinctly when I realized that like I was physically dependent on opioids. Like when I didn't have them, I started going into withdrawal. That was kind of when it really kicked in that the opioid addiction was there, which then created a whole other bag of problems. But that was the defining moment where I figured it out.
And how long ultimately were you addicted to them?
Beginning to end, 8.5 years. So first 2-ish years, I was doing pills. Started with Percocets, then went up to Oxys, and then eventually hit a point where the people I started out using with were going into the IV drug use of it all, and I had my line. Like that was not something I was ever willing to do. And that's when I'm like, yeah, I need to figure this out. So I went up going on methadone, the methadone program, which is what's called a harm reduction program. So the idea of it is that, say if you were to take an Oxy or a Percocet, let's say arbitrarily it lasts 6 hours, then you have to worry about getting more, or else you're going to go into withdrawal. What methadone and Suboxone do is they're harm reduction. So you take your drink in the morning and then you're good for 24 hours. You don't have to worry about going to withdrawal. Therefore, you don't have to worry about doing desperate acts to get to your baseline. And you can kind of start trying to function as a human being again. So, but that was its own journey. I was on that for 5 years, and then, I mean, I spent so much money. I spent 6 figures on pills. I lost a house. I lost everything that meant anything to me. And then by that point, I was like halfway through methadone. I mean, I was 139 pounds, stealing my food to eat. I went 2 years without any heater, without any gas. So I had no heater, hot water. It was rough. But thankfully, by chance, got switched to a different doctor who generally showed she cared about my well-being, and that's what helped develop the trust, and then kind of started working as a team to figure out a plan moving forward, and that's where things started to turn around. But it was a process. So,
can I ask you, like, during that process, when you realized that you were an addict, that you couldn't continue in the way that you were, because I think there might be people listening today who are in the throes of that, and maybe don't know what it will be like to come to that moment, or what it takes to come to that moment, or how it is to live through it. Like, what was it like? How did you realize that you couldn't keep going this way?
Well, for me personally, I think everybody's different. But my personal thing was, I had a meeting with my own mortality, and like, not in terms of like an overdose or anything like that, but I came to the realization that, like, listen, life and death are two very realistic coexisting possibilities depending on what you do moving forward. and then thinking about all the things that I wish I could do, but I haven't. I wasted so much time. I lost all this stuff, and then it was just knowing that, like, if you continue like this, you're gonna die, and soon.
What's your message, I think, to the public about addiction? Like, what do you think that we don't know that we should?
The thing is, it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard the, why don't you just stop? Why can't, well, listen, if it was that easy, treatment centers would not exist. Like, addiction services would not exist. Like, it's not as easy as just stopping. Like, the way I equate it to somebody, actually, the way I explain it because I speak at high schools, I'm like, okay, how many of you guys have a cell phone? All those kids raise their hands. I'm like, okay, if you were to leave your cell phone at home, would you be willing to be late to go back to get it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you're willing to accept a negative consequence in order to get that thing that will give you that dopamine hit. That is essentially the core of addiction. It's the loss of control over reward-seeking behavior.
I'm going to leave it on that note. Chris, I really appreciate you taking the time to share some of your experience with us, and for congratulations as well on that 10-year mark. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That was Chris Cull lending his voice to our in-depth look at the toxic drug crisis in this country. We're going to have more coming up tomorrow. We're going to speak to a mom who experienced the worst loss of all, her son, her child, due to this drug crisis, this overdose crisis. She's going to tell us what that was like and sort of her thoughts on how to navigate this crisis as we go through it. So that part 2 airs tomorrow, same time, same place here on the Vashi Capello Show. We're back in just a moment.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon with a low chance of sun showers, a high of 14. This evening, a chance of showers and 10, overnight down to 1. Tomorrow is partly cloudy and 13 degrees, and Wednesday is a repeat, partly cloudy and 13. Have a red dot day with CAA Everyday, just $30 a year for everyday savings on fuel, dining, tickets, and more. New members get 10% off for a limited time only. Visit caaeveryday.ca. Conditions apply. In the CTV Weather Center, I'm Callum Fraser.
And now it's time for our Subaru Weather Report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob said, sorry, cash only. Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, we don't accept foot money here. And
Thanks,
so we
Harold.
talked. But now
Weather
I'm
reports
starving,
don't matter when you drive a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
It's camping season at RV Canada, and there's work to be done. Your job? Picture your dream RV and bring us your trade. Our job? Give you big cash for your trade and make that dream RV a reality from just $46 a week. At RV Canada, our only job is to make you a happy camper with the nation's biggest selection and best prices. You work hard, so we work harder. Get your dream RV from an incredible $46 a week. Visit rvcanada.ca.
Canada. Need to make more money? Own a franchise and control your future. Come to the Franchise Show this Saturday and Sunday at the EY Center to meet with the hottest franchises. Get valuable advice at seminars and learn how you can open a successful business. This is your only chance to see all your best money-making opportunities in one place. Find the perfect business for you at Ottawa's only Franchise Show, presented by Mann Lawyers, this weekend at the EY Center. Get tickets at ottawafranchiseshow.com.
Squinting to see clearly? Tired of blurry vision and juggling multiple sets of glasses? Love your better vision with Focus Eye Center.
A no-obligation, no-pressure consultation with a doctor is the first step towards seeing the alarm clock, your smartphone, and freedom from wearing contacts during sports.
For many people insured by Canada Life and Blue Cross, there are positive changes in your vision benefits coverage in 2024. Step toward better vision. Call Focus Eye Center 613-724-3937.
For 30 years and counting, generations of families in Eastern Ontario have entrusted their care to Focus Eye Center.
Want better vision for sports and recreation or just day-to-day activities? A no-obligation, no-pressure consultation with a doctor is the first step toward freedom from glasses and contacts.
that, and for many people insured by Canada Life and Blue Cross, there are positive changes to vision benefits coverage in 2024.
Love your vision. Discover what Focus Eye can do for you. Call 613-724-EYES.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.ca/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ziprecruiter.ca/free. That's ziprecruiter.ca/free. ziprecruiter.ca/free.
The Bell Media Weekenders, powered by Barhaven Ford.
Want to know where the party's at this weekend? I've got you covered. I'm Sam McDade, and I've got the inside scoop on all the fun, exciting, huge events happening around the National Capital Region. And I'll share the deets with you every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Let's go find some fun this weekend.
Bell Media Weekenders is powered by Barhaven Ford, Ottawa's newest and largest Ford store, and Eastern Ontario's #1 Ford EV leader.
Spring in Ottawa and the daily decision. Is it shorts or snowshoes today? Make this the best spring ever, regardless of the weather, in a new Pure Water hot tub. Pay no tax, free delivery, and a whole whack of free accessories with most models. And as you know, a whack is a lot. With hundreds of options to choose from, the lowest prices of the year, right now, is hot tub time at Pure Water. Pure Water Total Home Leisure, 2070 Robertson and Moody and Bell's Corners. You, your family, and fun. It's what we do.
Welcome back to the Vashi Capello Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, let's get right to part 2 of my interview with former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
The place where Canada comes into this in a lot of these discussions is around the larger issue of defense spending. I had mentioned it earlier, and you know, that is not unique to Donald Trump. Many other former presidents have talked about it as well. They're spending more here.
They are, 1.76.
Yes, you know, but it's not a plan to get to 2%, and we remain the only ally that doesn't have a plan. When you were Prime Minister, did that matter, and do you think it matters now?
Look, I think this is one of those areas where I can say something about. Because it was in the Cardiff summit, the NATO summit in 2014. We all agreed to go to 2%, and I think it's the right thing to do. But the old saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. And I think we need to make sure that we're all in a good position. And the UK, we're up to 2.4% now. We'll probably hit 3% on the current programs we have. We'll I think inevitably hit 3% by 2030. I think that is the right direction of travel, and I'm glad to see Canada coming up.
You recently talked about how Canada should become part of AUKUS, the sort of the triad of a defense alliance between the U.S., the U.K., and Australia. Canada was not originally invited. You were a part of that. Why is that?
That was not in any way. Canada is. I think Canada is a massively valued and important NATO partner, G7 partner, and I tell you something. I'm a conservative, but Canada was massively robust at the beginning of the Ukraine conflict. I mean, maybe there were some others who weren't quite so steady on parade. Canada was fantastic, okay? When it comes to AUKUS, this was a deal that was done basically because of the Australian need for a different type of submarine. That was the history of it. I think, obviously it's a matter for Canada, but I think it would be a good thing if Canada joined that as well. And
It's not your view, though, that it was a slight in any way? Or
no, because it was literally because, I mean, you will remember what happened. It wasn't Canada that was cheesed off. Canada was fine. It was the plaster came off the ceiling in the Élysée Palace, because if you remember, it was the Australians were going to do the submarine deal with the French, and then because they were wrong type of submarines. Basically, they were too noisy. They were diesel submarines. They wanted a different type of propulsion system, so they came to us, and we had to go to the Americans because of our nuclear agreements with the Americans. It arose in a very unique way. There was no intention to exclude anybody.
I just have a few minutes, and